Verbal or life.
Who is Joe Rogan endorsing? You know, for a minute there, I think a lot of people, me included, thought that Joe Rogan was going to endorse Donald Trump, right? Being the non-politician that's going into politics. But lately, everybody's looking at the videos and he sounds like he's endorsing RFK Jr., which is crazy. And at the same time, when Trump found out, Trump is fighting back because Trump is the biggest fighter in this country. In this video, we're going to take a look at what Joe Rogan says. And then we'll think about, is he really endorsing him or not? I also want to show you guys the response that he wrote. But let's take a look. My name is Noel. Welcome to Verbal on Life. Battling MS, here bringing you the news. Let's take a look at Joe Rogan's sponsoring or endorsing a candidate.
That's just what they do. That's politics. They do it on the left. They do it on the right. They gaslight you. They manipulate you. They promote narratives. And the only one who's not doing that is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
You a fan?
Yeah, I am a fan. Yeah, he's the only one that makes sense to me. He's the only one that he doesn't attack people. He attacks actions and ideas.
Beta male, he is concerned of politicians that attack people. Like, you don't have to get in, like, politicians got to get in this game and get in attack mode because they're constantly being attacked. And Trump is the only one that's been doing it, and people are, their emotions are getting hurt. So here is Joe Rogan, emotionally hurt.
Ideas, but he's much more reasonable and intelligent. I mean, the guy was an environmental attorney and cleaned up the East River. I mean, he's a legitimate guy. You know, before anybody started calling him an anti-vaxxer, which I thought he was too. I thought he was this nut, this like conspiracy theorist nut, until I read his book.
And I think RFK has pros and cons like everybody else, you know? And then the whatever ideas they have that they take it to an extreme, that's what's concerning. All right. So yes, he's an intellectual, wrote a book. He's well-spoken, smart man, but some of his ideas are extreme. And that's something that Joe Rogan doesn't talk about. He doesn't bring up the fact that this man believes in abortion up until birth and all of that. Let's keep listening.
I read The Real Anthony Fauci, and I'm like, what is it? How much of this is real? Because if it's all real, this is fucking insane. And we live in a world where we're being manipulated by these health organizations that are being paid by the pharmaceutical drug interests. And these pharmaceutical drug companies are pumping these products out into the population and telling us that we need them, and then making insane amounts of money. And then,
you know, Joe Rogan got that bro talk. He could articulate an argument for any candidate, for anybody he wants, and make it sound good and believable. People believe him. Look how he's making RFK look great. So it's all about who he picks.
Also, the government is in on it, and also they share a patent with Moderna, and also they share profits. And there's $700 million, 700. I mean, however much money was made, whatever the number is that these guys made off of these products. Like, this is all of it is fucking crazy. There's the revolving door between the CDC and the FDA and then these pharmaceutical drug companies. So the people that make the regulations then go on to have these cushy jobs with the pharmaceutical drug corporations. Like, oh, nothing to see here. It's like, it's open. It's right out in the open.
Right.
And when he talks about all that stuff in his book, you're just like, what the fuck, man? If this wasn't true, he would be sued.
Yeah, but
so it seems to be true.
Yeah,
and it's a scary thing because people don't want to talk about it because they don't want to be attacked. You know, they don't want to be called an anti-vaxxer. That's a big one,
right?
You know,
it cracks.
Not necessarily true, everything that Joe Rogan just said, but again, using bro talk, he can make a good argument for anybody. So Joe's opinion does matter because a lot of his viewers do watch it and do help formulate their personal opinion based on what Rogan just said. Now, he said a lot of good things about RFK, but at the end of the day, RFK got some extreme agendas. Like, he's all in favor of the Green New Deal and going green, like the current administration is trying to do. Like the whole abortion deal, his VP pick wants men to be able to give birth. To me, that sounds insane, but there's a video out there of her talking about how new science is making it possible. So to me, anybody part of those LGBTQs, it gives me second thought, like, okay, what the hell are they talking about? But after this video, look what Joe Rogan wrote. He wrote, for the record, this isn't an endorsement. This is me saying that I like RFK Jr. as a person. And I really appreciate the way he discusses things with civility and intelligence. I think we could use more of that in the world. So what is it, a stab at Donald Trump? That he doesn't talk with civility and intelligence? What are you talking about? And that's another thing, that comedians like Joe Rogan, they like to use the comedian card and say, I don't know what I'm talking about. You know, I'm not into politics. So I get a pass. I get an excuse to get out of this argument. But let's keep reading. He wrote, I also think Trump raising his fist and saying fight after getting shot is one of the most American fucking things of all time. I'm not the guy to get political information from. If you want what's it called? If you want that from a comic, go to Dave Smith. He actually knows what he's talking about. You see that? As a comedian, you get to pull out of arguments by saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. But yet, you're very opinionated. You bring in other politicians on there. You bring in everybody except for Trump, because obviously you don't want Trump to win. I think it's obvious that you're a beta male. I don't know what the fear is, and it's not money. Money doesn't rule Joe Rogan, because I think once you make that much money, he got generational wealth. So him, his kids, and his kids' are set up. I think it's more of a fear of losing fans, all right, of his streaming not being as popular. But at the end of the day, man, he was talking positive, or he talks positive about Trump, but just never invites him, never endorses him. Now he's saying he doesn't endorse RFK, even though he spoke great about him. There's a lot of politicians that Joe Rogan gets to speak great about, and they just use that card about, hey, I don't know anything about politics. Don't look at me. But I got to give credit to Trump. Trump got a wind of this, and this is what he wrote on Truth Social. Let me see if I can zoom it in here. So he wrote, it will be interesting to see how loudly Joe Rogan gets booed the next time he enters the UFC ring. MAGA 2024. You see, that was a very good swing from Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the best. He's funny. He just took a swing at Joe Rogan. And I want to see the next UFC fight. I hope everybody does boo Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan is out here talking positively about another candidate where he could help. This is like an emerging state that we're in. We need Trump to win, period. Because right now, the mainstream media is working overtime to get Kamala Harris elected, because she doesn't know how to talk into the mic. She doesn't know how to do rally. She doesn't know how to do debate. So she needs the mainstream media to do all of the work, including Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is like joining her or endorsing her indirectly. So we are living in an interesting time where Joe Rogan thinks he's slick, and it's just saying, I'm not endorsing anybody. I was just talking positive about RFK. Yeah, well then talk positive about Donald Trump and bring him on. All right, let's take a look at our last video here of Jesse Waddy pointing out all the things that is going on with the Democratic candidate.
Welcome to Jesse Waters Prime Time tonight.
Don't nobody care but us about somebody
That's not
taking
true.
questions.
If it were someone else, you would be demanding that they sit down for questions.
Uh-oh. The plot to hide Harris is falling apart.
So now we got some work to do.
I got a guy shooting on the roof of AGR. We're just trying to hold the roof the best we can. Don't pull up your head. He's right there. Somebody got him.
Inside the Trump assassination scene.
I told him to post guys over here. This is America's dad. Walls is a firecracker popsicle. You certainly taste the red first, but over time, you get to the blue.
Democrats have daddy issues.
You see the picture the media is painting about this guy?
Oh my!
Plus,
I have a message to Jesse. You suck.
You never want to kick your honeymoon off with a fight. And Democrats have been trying to put on a smile and pretend like it's happy days with Kamala. But after 3 weeks with her, they're losing it. Behind the scenes, it's infighting, backstabbing, like we've never seen before. The orchestrator of the Biden coup, Nancy Pelosi, can't stop trash talking her ex.
I love him so much. I think he's been really a fantastic president of the United States. So I really wanted him to make a decision of a better campaign because they were not facing the fact of what was happening. I've never been that impressed with his political operation.
Biden's operation.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I just haven't been. They won the White House. Bravo. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But so my concern was this ain't happening. And we have to make a decision for this to happen. And the president has to make the decision for that to happen. I knew what I was doing in the whole thing, not just that show.
And what was that?
That Donald Trump would never set foot in the White House again.
Inside the tent, Biden world shooting right back, calling Nancy out by name.
There were leaders of the party who decided to go ahead and go very public, and that gave permission to other people to go public.
Do you mean like when Nancy Pelosi goes on TV and you know, there were 2 moments where she goes out publicly and when things sort of seem like they were dying down, reopens the debate?
Absolutely. You had this decision that the Democratic Party made to ignore their primary voters and ignore their primary process, and that was what should happen, and that was a very donor-driven thing.
Nancy's guilty conscience is starting to kick in, and she's losing sleep over it.
You think your relationship will be there?
I hope so. I pray so. I cry so. You know,
you worry about it?
I lose sleep on it. Yeah. Yeah.
You think he's angry at you? You think he's angry at you?
I don't know. We haven't had a conversation.
Aww. Trump's hearing rumblings that Biden is still holding a grudge.
The presidency was taken away from Joe Biden. And I'm no Biden fan, but I tell you what, from a constitutional standpoint, from any standpoint you look at, they took the presidency away. And people were saying he lost after the debate. He couldn't win. Whether he could win or he couldn't win, he had the right to run. And they took it away like he was a child. And he's a very angry man right now. I can tell you that. He's not happy with Obama, and he's not happy with Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy. She is crazy, too. She's not happy with any of the people that told him that you've got to leave. He's very unhappy, very angry. And I think he also blames her.
This was supposed to be the honeymoon phase, but the entire honeymoon's been nothing but fighting. Not a good start. They thought they could get rid of Biden by sticking a knife in his back, but Biden played his cards right by anointing Kamala. Now Democrats in the media have to carry Kamala's water. And after doing it for Biden for 4 years, Democrats in the media are already running out of gas. CNN confronted the coup master, asking, so where is Kamala?
Do you think that the vice president needs to be more out there talking to reporters, talking about issues in a give and take, not just in speeches?
I think she should say what I just said in that sentence. She should be herself. She should be ready. She should know her power in all of this. Yeah. And I don't give anybody advice except to be themselves and be ready and know the power of their individuality and their authenticity.
What? Do you know what that meant? Well, the media now scrapping with each other, too. Watch this.
Let me just also say this. Like, don't nobody care but us about somebody taking questions. No, that is very true.
I speak to swing state voters all the time.
But
they have questions, they want answers.
No. But yes, they have questions, they want answers. But you know what doesn't have to happen? Audie doesn't have to ask those questions.
Yes, Audie does have to ask those questions.
Political does not.
Because when fans ask them, Bakari, when friends ask them, when surrogates ask them, they're not getting the real answer. That's why Audie needs to ask them.
This is so in the Beltway.
No, it really isn't. I'm telling you, Bakari, I speak to swing state voters every single day.
The Democratic Party is having second thoughts. especially after Kamala put a freak on her ticket. James Carville, who Primetime has no issues with, we actually invited him on our show for Chicago, just went off on us.
I have a message to Jesse and of the whole freak show is, why don't you take a and maybe get you suck.
We don't take it personally, but it looks like the tampon Tim thing touched a nerve. Our invitation to Carville still stands, and he can explain to me why fourth grade boys need tampons in their bathrooms. But if Kamala Harris is John Wayne and she's up in the polls, why are Democrats so angry? Maybe because all along they knew this was fomentum. Biden voters in Pennsylvania say after the coup, they're voting Trump.
More Latino voters, Indian voters, they're moving more into the right. 2 years ago, everybody hated him. Now, majority are like, no, I'm voting for Trump.
I was a Democrat, and I started to realize the policies that I was voting in wasn't my standards or what I believe.
You'll be surprised. I used to do registration, and a lot of people changed party.
I've seen a lot of people leaning towards Trump right now.
Even people who were Biden before?
Even people that were Biden.
Swapping Biden out for Kamala was plan B. It's already flaming out. The media is asking Biden if he'll give up power when Trump wins. Watch.
Are you confident that there will be a peaceful transfer of power in January 2025?
If Trump wins, no, I'm not confident at all. I mean, if Trump loses, I'm not confident at all. He means what he says. We don't take him seriously. He means it.
So if he means it, that means what? He's going to fix the economy. He's going to put money in people's pockets. He's going to help the country out.
Stuff about if we lose, there'll be a bloodbath.
You think Democrats are going to go down that easy? It's not how they roll. They play dirty, and they always have something up their sleeve. Jamie Raskin has had Plan C in the works for months. Listen to this.
They want to kick it to Congress, so it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025 to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified, and then we need bodyguards for everybody in Civil War conditions.
Disqualify him. That's what Democrats are going to do if Trump wins. If the Democrats have the House and the Senate, they'll vote to disqualify him before he's inaugurated on the grounds that he's an insurrectionist who's constitutionally prohibited under the 14th Amendment from serving, even though he was never charged or convicted of insurrection. A preemptive coup, not a silent coup. This time they're admitting it.
They are saying that out loud. It's like they're talking the quiet part out loud. And hopefully more people wake up to the reality of things and don't let this happen.
Senior advisor and director of speechwriting to President Trump, Stephen Miller, is here on a Friday night. All right, before we get to the preemptive coup, if Kamala is doing so well, why is everybody freaking out?
Well, Jesse, first of all, let's talk about what's really important, which is that the Democrat Party has finally found a truly authentic Midwestern dad to run on a presidential ticket. Does it get more Midwestern dad than Tampon Tim? Who hasn't lived in the Midwest and had a high school football coach bring a duffel bag filled with tampons and handed them out to 10-year-old boys? That's what Midwestern dads do. What Midwestern dad hasn't fought school districts out of love for children and said, damn it, we're going to put pornography in kindergarten classrooms, because that's what Midwestern dads do. And what Midwestern dad in his spare time hasn't cheered on BLM riots as they've burned small businesses to the ground and spent his weekends palling around with Islamic jihadists? That's what Midwestern dads are all about. And that dad energy, that Midwestern dad energy, it's going to be tough for Republicans to compete, because that's what everybody wants. That Norman Rockwell Midwestern dad, that's Tim Walz. We can all celebrate that tonight. Tampon Tim.
White dudes for Harris. Speaking of, yes. Harris, is she really running a campaign, or is she a princess that's going to get coronated, that's not allowed near anybody. You're not allowed to talk to her. She's just going to be coddled and wrapped up in her little banky and let around for nap time. Yes. And don't let her walk because she might fall. She might hurt herself. So we're just going to keep her here, and then you'll see her in November. What?
Well, it's the first AI campaign. It doesn't actually exist. It is the first post-candidate campaign. There's no candidate. There's no actual campaign. There's no policy. There's no substance. No. There's literally just the corporate left-wing press creating a narrative around a non-entity, a non-existent person. This is like that Al Pacino movie from like 20 years ago that nobody saw called Simone, where he created a fake pop star that didn't even exist using holographic technology. It was very ahead of its time. You should go see it if you haven't seen it before.
You can't dislike something that doesn't exist. Like, you can't get mad at nothing. And that's what this is, nothing. They're running nothing. And you can't get mad at nothing because there's nothing there.
An unseen force, the same force that launched Russiagate, the same force that opened our border, the same force that hit the Hunter Biden laptop, the same force that made Biden out to be some mental genius, and then when it became impossible to sustain, ditched him, coordinated Kamala. That unseen force that is dragging us into wars and destroying this country, that is leading to anarchy in our cities and putting American citizens behind bars for free speech. That's who controls Kamala. She's a puppet for a regime. Her campaign is so fake. She's literally giving speeches every day, the same speech over and over again, mind you, where she says she has a day one plan to tackle inflation. She's the freaking vice president right now, Jesse. She's the actual vice president. She can do it today. She's actually the acting president. This is the fakest, phoniest, scammiest, most ridiculous, offensive thing I've ever seen in my life. Do you want a real flesh and blood human being, actual president named Donald Trump, or a fake person controlled by a regime that hates you, That's the choice.
Half the country wants a princess. They want Princess Mystery, Kamala Harris. And then once she gets, it's like that bill. Remember, you have to first pass it to find out what's in it. That's what Kamala Harris is. We like surprises, right? Everybody likes surprises. We're just not going to ask her what she believes or what she wants to do with the country. We'll get surprised when she's inaugurated. We'll just find out.
Once people are reminded that she's actually been the vice president for 3.5 years, that she's actually been the border czar, she's actually been in charge of all of these policies, she will sink, as President Trump says, like a rock in water.
All right, we'll see what happens. Stephen Miller, behave yourself this weekend.
You too.
Fox News alert, Donald Trump's plane was forced to divert midair and land in Billings, Montana, after experiencing a mechanical issue while flying to a rally. The president landed safely and took another plane to complete his journey to Bozeman, more than 100 miles away. Trump's Bozeman rally is scheduled to take place in a few hours. Stay with Fox for the latest.
Trump is crazy because he still made it to the rally no matter what. He goes out to speak with the people. But let me say this much. I think we're slowly but surely approaching like a communist society. Like, we're going to be told what we like, what to eat, how to live, just little by little. So it's nice to be born or to be alive during this time of life. Let's see if it happens, if they're able to pull it off, to get this non-politician elected, Kamala Harris, who doesn't even know how to do an interview or know how to do a debate. But if the media and the power that be get her elected, wow, this is some crazy time. I mean, Trump even took a bullet for this country. That to me is enough. That's enough to get elected. You know, the ideas he's bringing up, they're positive ideas. But you know what? It's all up to you to choose Trump or not. My name is Noah, bad in the MS. Remember to get this video a like before you go anywhere. And hopefully you found this video entertaining. With that said, see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Verbal or life.